Well, hello there and good morning. Do you get that smell? Is that me? It's the whiff of the weekend in the air and it's almost upon us. Welcome to your Friday edition of Ireland AM.
Oh, love that scent. Well, coming up, a complex between accounts given by Ryan Tubridy and his agent and those given by RTE executives emerged yesterday at the 6th meeting of an Oireachtas committee. We'll be bringing you the latest on that.
More of that to look forward to. Hollywood star Jonah Hill was this week revealed as having a troubling list of rules for his partner. But just what are the serious red flags we need to look for in our and in our children's relationships? We'll be discussing that this morning.
Several TV presenters were incorrectly named across online platforms as being the person at the centre of the BBC controversy. We discussed the legal pitfalls to you of using social media.
And from working in Starbucks to jetting off to the Academy Awards, James Martin will be joining us to tell us how life has changed for him since his famous Oscar win earlier this year.
And later on, in her first interview since his passing, Kiera Dignam will be joining us to remember the life and work of her dad, Christy.
And relaxing on the couch this morning, Paul Ryder's over there. Good morning, sir.
Just chilling. Happy Bastille Day, all. We're bringing you a taste of France today with a leek and Gruyère tart in the kitchen. And we're stealing the style of Emily in Paris over at the catwalk. Ooh la la. Back to you two.
Paul, we can always count on you for a good French accent.
Gruyère.
Oui, oui, oui.
Gruyère, baby.
Gruyère.
All right, that's coming up. First, let's check in on the news you're waking up to this Friday morning. And Anne O'Donnell is in the Virgin Media News Hub.
Thanks, Ray. Good morning. Well, greenhouse gas emissions linked to transport are continuing to surge. That's according to the latest report from the Environmental Protection Agency, which shows that transport emissions rose by 6% in just 1 year. However, the report also found that Ireland's greenhouse gas emissions decreased by 1.9% last year. The World Health Organization's Cancer Agency has deemed the sweetener aspartame, which is also found in fizzy drinks, as a possible cause of cancer. However, a separate expert group looking at the same evidence said that it still considers the sugar substitute safe in limited quantities.
Companies to withdraw products, nor we are advising consumers to stop consuming altogether. We're just advising for a bit of moderation.
Category 1 is carcinogen. That's where smoking is. And then we have 2A and 2B. So probable carcinogen and possible. So it is a lower level category, but it prompts the WHO to do studies of what the risk is.
Unite Trade Union members working for Uisce Éireann are continuing their industrial action today. There's a warning that there could be disruption to water supplies in up to a dozen counties, where more than 100 union members hold work stoppages until midnight today. Precautionary boil water notices have been issued for homes and businesses in Tipperary and in Waterford, and they will be in place for a number of days. Those holding the industrial action want a commitment that water staff transferring from local authorities to Uisce Éireann will retain their public service status.
There's a lot of resilience already in the system and we have backup capacity. So it does mean that things are relatively stable across the country, even where there is action underway. There are some places where we have taken some initial action because they are at higher risk than elsewhere. And so, for example, in Waterford, County Waterford and Tipperary, we have implemented some precautionary boil water notices there which are affecting people. But aside from that, at this stage, things are relatively stable across the country and we are monitoring very closely and will update as necessary.
Elsewhere, forecasters say the heatwave currently affecting Europe may be prolonged. While temperatures soaring in the high 40s are being seen across parts of the continent, with weather agencies predicting record-breaking temperatures in the days ahead.
Seeking shade and trying to cool down any way possible in central Athens. Some urban areas in Greece are opening air-conditioned public buildings to allow people to shelter from the heat. Tourists lined up early to visit the Acropolis, taking advantage of shade and cooler morning temperatures.
For us it's very difficult because we're not used to this kind of heat at all and this kind of humidity. So we are doing our best with the water and the sunscreen to keep us going, because we still want to explore the city even though it's very hot.
We've already had to have breakfast inside because it was quite warm outside. We just walked out from the hotel. So far it's not too bad, but I believe it's going to get much worse.
Greece is just one of many European countries experiencing a heatwave. Temperatures in the 40s being seen across the continent, while temperatures in Spain, which had soared way above 40 degrees Celsius in many parts in recent days, have dropped back slightly. The country's state weather agency is predicting temperatures will rise again by more than 5 degrees Celsius above normal in many parts of Spain in the first few days of next week. Forecasters say that the heatwave across Europe could be prolonged, with temperatures likely to set new record highs. Marie Mulcahy, Virgin Media News.
Well, Hollywood has come to a nearly screeching halt as the union representing 160,000 actors approved a strike. Unions and negotiators say they could not get a fair deal after weeks of talks with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. Well, the SAG-AFTRA members will now join the more than 11,000 members of the Writers Guild of America, who have been on strike for 2 months already.
Because the AMPTP remains unwilling to offer a fair deal on key issues essential to protecting the livelihoods of working actors and performers, SAG-AFTRA's national board unanimously voted to issue a strike order against the studios and streamers.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
This morning we'll see low pressure over Munster with heavy rain spreading northwards to all areas. Temperatures are ranging from 14 to 15 degrees. This afternoon then persistent heavy rain will hit Connacht, Leinster and Ulster. Conditions in the south will turn showery with the risk of thunderstorms in places. Temperatures will range from 14 to 17 degrees. And tonight we'll see that persistent rain continue with the threat of local flooding in places and temperatures ranging from 13 to 14 degrees.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
It's Friday morning on Ireland AM. Let's have a look at your morning papers, and we'll start with the Irish Times. And the headline there reads, RTE and Tubridy at odds over evidence to committee. In a lengthy Oireachtas committee hearing yesterday, a clear difference between accounts given by Ryan Tubridy and his agent Noel Kelly. And then on the other side, senior RTE executives has emerged.
The Irish Independent leads with spotlight turns to golden handshakes for RTE chiefs. The paper reports that RTE is to launch an investigation into potential golden handshakes for senior executives who left the organisation.
The Examiner then leads with emissions from transport surge to pre-COVID level. The paper revealed that greenhouse gas emissions linked to transport are continuing to surge, despite a huge spike in people switching to electric vehicles.
On to the tabloids, and the Daily Mail leads with Tubridy pay blocked by RTE bosses. Ryan Tubridy's pay has been suspended by RTE as the former Late Late Show host future at the broadcaster continues to hang in the balance.
The Mirror's headline reads, it's pay back time. The paper saying that RTE has stopped paying the salary of Ryan Tubridy while he's off air at the moment.
And the Herald goes with, I found Kirsty dead, claimed suspect. The Irish man suspected of murdering mum Kirsty Ward in Spanish hotel has claimed he had no involvement in her death.
The Sun this morning leading with the Late Late Show, me the money. The paper reporting that Ryan Tubridy's RTE career comeback is on if he hands back €150,000 to RTE.
And finally, the Star leads with another right mess. Dave Fanning has apologised for describing the grilling of Ryan Tubridy and Noel Kelly as a nonsensical Oireachtas Nuremberg trial.
And his apology is there on Twitter, reporting in all the newspapers. Actually, speaking of the papers, we'll dive in and have a look at the main stories for you this morning. That's coming up after this. You're very welcome back. Good morning. Yesterday, we witnessed the sixth Oireachtas hearing into the RTE payment scandal as new DG Kevin Backhurst confirms that payments to Ryan Tubridy have stopped. Joining us to look at what the papers are saying today are author and journalist Aoife Barry and chief reporter with Bauer Media Barry White. Good morning to you both. And we'll start with that the payment, the RTE payments story rumbling on and on. This is 3 weeks of it now, Barry?
3 weeks, yeah. I think a lot of people are getting fatigued with this story at this point. I've had a few friends too saying to me, like, kind of bored of this now. And, you know, RTE's saying, you know, they're in the right, or, you know, Ryan Tubridy saying they're in the wrong. They keep saying, you know, they're at odds with each other. So I think there's going to be clear talks between them. I think it might go quiet for a week now. I think now the focus is going to be on Ryan Tubridy's future. Kevin Backhurst, the Director General of RTE, said yesterday that it'll be the end of the month before we know if Ryan Tubridy's going to remain at RTE. He also said yesterday that Ryan Tubridy's pay has been frozen now. He's not been paid when he's off air. I think most of the public would probably agree with that. Why should he be getting his high-paid salary if he's not on air? So, but yeah, I would also say there was a lot of people watched your Oireachtas committees for the first time ever this weekend.
I was one of them, yeah. I had no concept of what was on.
And it's just, a lot of people were saying to me just how repetitive it is, and it is. You know, a lot of the same questions. I can never understand these committees, how politicians don't say, you know, you ask this question, I'll ask this question, have a bit more, you know, order in there. But yeah, it's been a bit repetitive and a bit all over the place. Yeah. And I would say some of the people who've watched it for the first time might never watch an Oireachtas committee again. Yeah, I watched it for the first time on Tuesday. Aoife, you've watched a lot of these BAC committees. Does the drama and the hype, is this consistent across the board?
You get some moments of drama. You know, you'll have and Barry will have watched many committees himself as well, that like you'll get some of them that are just pretty standard and maybe not that interesting. Other ones where you're really interested to hear what they have to say, you know, because the thing about the committees is it's a really good chance for politicians and the members of the committees to drill down into specific, you know, details into things and to kind of haul people up before them and say, look, we want to know more. So that's why it's good to have the various committees. But, you know, they go on all the time. Most people won't be watching them. But we had 25 and a half hours so far, I think, of the RTE related ones. Yeah, and I agree with Barry in that, like, they're a great way of getting information. But I've definitely found yesterday in particular, there was sometimes where people would ask a question, wouldn't wait for an answer, and then say, well, I actually don't even believe what you're saying anyway. And I think that kind of approach is not the most useful approach when you're talking about, you know, a Dáil committee where the aim is to actually get information from the people before you. Yeah. So I think that the most useful parts of the committee are when you actually do get to hear what someone like Kevin Backhurst has to say. You do get to hear what Ryan Tubridy has to say, because it's that information that's being brought into the record. But if people think about too the fact that the politicians that are present, they're, you know, they know they're being filmed. They know they can use what's being said to them and what they say, you know, on their own social media to show how good they are at grilling people. So that's why you get a lot of the repetitiveness, which isn't, like Barry said, isn't very useful overall. So there's a mix of like usefulness and not very useful things. And
a lot of messing, and sort of your time is up, Deputy, and wrap it up now. What specifically did we learn from yesterday's, the 6th day of it? Was there any new information worth knowing?
There's a little bit of new information. For example, Ryan Tubridy had mentioned the 7 untruths when he was before the committee there last week, and Kevin Backhurst kind of challenged that, or those are particularly challenged. For example, they challenged the idea that Noel Kelly and Ryan Tubridy, they claimed that they didn't know that RTE would have been kind of backing up those €75,000 payments in the Renault deal. So again, you had moments like that, and then you also had a focus on the former chief financial officer's retirement from deal with RTE and what the details of that were, and whether the executive actually knew about those details. So you have different moments in it where people are challenging what previous people have said. But Ryan Tubridy wasn't there to say whether or not he disagreed.
And there was a moment, wasn't there, where they said, can we just get everyone in the same room so we can get all the answers and we can challenge you directly?
And I think that's what's going to happen. There'll be clearly air talks. And then I was saying the focus will probably be on Ryan Tubridy's future, but the focus is going to be on how many people are going to continue to pay their licence fee. I've lost count the amount of people have told me who they're not going to pay it anymore. It's not a priority after all that's happened, and that's coming down the line for RTE as well.
Yeah, it will be a challenge facing them in the future. Great news for you, Barry. There's another story. There's a story other than the Public Accounts Committee and the Media Committee. Unfortunately, it's not a great story. This is emissions from transport surge to pre-COVID levels, and I suppose there's a focus again on Ireland's emissions.
Yeah, so the latest report from the Environmental Protection Agency shows that emissions rose by 6% in 1 year, with volumes back to 95% of pre-COVID levels. And this is at the same time, I think in recent months, sales of electric cars are going up 50%, but yet greenhouse gas emissions are still going up. I know a lot of people are driving again, but I think there has to be focus on incentives, you know, like more grants for electric cars. I have a colleague who I work with who's also a news reporter who got an electric car recently, and he travels around the country, and he's always saying to me he cannot find chargers that are free.
Well, that's always been a complaint, isn't it, that the charging infrastructure is not there?
And I remember doing reports maybe 4 or 5 years ago about the lack of EV chargers, and there probably is still a lack now. So we need more EV chargers, we need more incentives for people to buy, you know, more grants to buy electric cars, I think. And our public transport needs to be better. You know, I travel around the country doing reports, and I always ask myself the question when I'm at a certain place doing a report, could I have got here by public transport? And the answer is nearly always no. Outside Dublin, most places are a nightmare to get to. So we need to improve things at public transport. And
it's grim, all right, isn't it? And do we face repercussions then if we don't hit our targets?
Yeah, we're supposed to be hitting our 2030 targets. I mean, there will be a punishment there of some form. But the fact is, I mean, those are targets that are set in stone, and the fact that every country is supposed to be in Europe is supposed to be reaching specific targets under various agreements. But even away from that, like, we are going to be punished for the fact we're not reaching them because the world is kind of on fire.
Burning,
So I mean, in the idea that people can feel like the government feels like, oh well, it has to reach this under this agreement and that under that, but the idea is it isn't just this arbitrary thing that like the EU has just decided that you have to do this. The idea is that this is all very specific because we have to keep, you know, carbon emissions below a certain amount before the planet heats up too much, and the problem is that we're heading consistently in the wrong direction. So any of this change does benefit the whole country, never mind the global picture, never mind the government.
Oh, okay. Let's stop panicking.
Fly the green flag, you know.
Stick my head back in the sand again and try and recycle more. Finally, just very quickly, red carpets, fabulousness and gorgeousness in London. It was cut short. This is the Oppenheimer premiere last night.
So interesting. So basically, people might know that the screenwriters are already on strike over in Hollywood over things, you know, kind of paying conditions, basically. Then yesterday, there were the talks broke down between SAG Guild, which is like the Actors Guild, the Screen Actors Guild, which meant that the Oppenheimer cast and crew were over in London for the premiere, and they decided to hold it an hour earlier because they knew that the strike might be coming down the line. The strike was confirmed basically as the event happened, so all the actors had to leave because they can't do any promotion now for the film, and it means there's over about 160,000 people on strike over in Hollywood now about, you know, trying to get those paying conditions and deal with things like AI. Yeah, the whole industry now is going to be badly affected, and when there was the last writer's strike in 2007, that led to a big upswing in reality TV afterwards, including people like Donald Trump getting to be on reality TV because it was cheaper to make those shows. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as an impact of these
because it doesn't require writers and doesn't require actors.
Just put people into a room, put a camera there. So it'll be interesting to see what the long-term impact is of these strikes now.
Yeah, I'm available. It doesn't require any writing. Barry, I'd say they'd be delighted. The actors would be delighted that they wouldn't have to sit through their film again.
So like the Screen Actors Guild are looking for just some guarantees, and there was one line kind of terrified me here. It was the Screen Actors Guild also want guarantees that artificial intelligence and computer-generated faces and voices will not be used to replace actors going into the future.
That's a huge concern.
So are we all going to be replaced eventually as well? I find that terrifying.
I actually am AI. I didn't want to break
you're actually AI. But clearly the most intelligent one on the couch this morning. Aoife and Barry, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Much obliged. Right, can Ireland ruin Bastille Day for the French and win the Under-20s World Cup? We'll have your sport after this quick break. Stay with us.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
This morning we'll see low pressure over Munster with heavy rain spreading northwards to all areas. Temperatures are ranging from 14 to 15 degrees. This afternoon then persistent heavy rain will hit Connacht, Leinster and Ulster. Conditions in the south will turn showery with the risk of thunderstorms in places. Temperatures will range from 14 to 17 degrees. And tonight we'll see that persistent rain continue with a threat of local flooding in places and temperatures ranging from 13 to 14 degrees.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
You're very welcome back to the studio. Now, as Ger was telling us a couple of minutes ago, it's a massive day for Irish rugby as the under-20s prepare for their World Cup final against France in Cape Town. Editor of the 42.ie, Niall Kelly, is with us to talk through this and the rest of this morning's top sports stories. But first, let's hear what under-20s assistant head coach Aaron Dundon had to say about the team's chances in today's big showdown.
We can't let the game get too loose. The French like that. Especially at Musgrave during the Six Nations, you know, that they came back in that second half and started putting us on a lot of pressure when we didn't look after the ball, and we kind of played into their hands a bit. So, you know, sticking to our systems and the way we want to play, making sure really, you know, we look after the ball when we have it, making sure it doesn't get loose and play into their hands.
Yeah, that all makes sense now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you heard Aaron Dundon reference there the game in Musgrave Park earlier in the year. Yeah. Anybody who saw it will remember, like 33-31, like won at the death by Sam Prendergast for Ireland, and like if that doesn't set the stage for tonight's World Championship final, like nothing does. These are undoubtedly the two best teams in the tournament. Yeah. France are going for 3 in a row. They've won the last 2 editions of this, but for Ireland, like, you know, this would be such a huge moment for this group of players and for Irish underage rugby to finally get over the line, win an under-20 World Cup. And I think as well, look, it's been talked about a lot in the last few weeks, but this team, you know, off the pitch, yeah, they've been through a massive amount. You know, not only with the passing of their friends from St. Michael's, but with the passing of Greg Oliver, Jack's father, like, you know, and it has been a really trying time for. Let's not forget, like, you know, they're out there performing on the world stage, but this is a group of very young men here, like, you know, and they've been through a huge amount, and they've responded admirably to everything that they faced over the last few weeks.
Incredible, and an incredible tribute to their schoolmates and to Jack's father. In terms of the tournament, what have been the highlights for Ireland, for those of us that haven't been paying attention at this point? Yeah,
I think really last weekend against South Africa was such an impressive performance. You know, to be there, to be playing the hosts in the semi-final, and to be under the pressure Ireland were under for that first half. They were really under the cosh. Some inspired defence really to hold South Africa at bay, and then to score a late try to go in 7-0 up at half time, and that really was the platform then for, you know, we're not really used to seeing Irish teams overpower South African teams. We're maybe getting a little bit more used to it in the last few years, but that's what happened in that second half. Like, Ireland just completely dominated. They were so impressive, and, you know, there've been a number of young lads who have put their hands up in the last fortnight, last 3 weeks. Like, we already knew a lot of the credentials from the Grand Slam earlier in the season. Yep. But like Gus McCarthy, the captain, Paddy McCarthy, prop, Brian Gleeson in the back row, like Sam Prendergast again, John Devine in the centre. Like, you know, I could keep.
And these are the stars of tomorrow, I guess, as well in the senior team. These are ones to watch. This is history-making stuff.
But this is it. Like, when you remember, like the last Irish team to make it to an under-20 World Final was in 2016, and from that team now you have Andrew Porter, you have James Ryan, you have Hugo Keenan, you have Jacob Stockdale. So, you know, They have become, in the interim, they have gone on to become household names and at the core of, you know, an Irish senior squad now that's going to the World Cup with huge aspirations. So, you know, tonight is the night to watch these lads get in on the ground floor. Hopefully a historic night, because some of them are names that you're going to be hearing for the next 10, 15 years.
You mentioned France 3 in a row. How concerned should we be? They seem to be.
Very, yeah.
Yeah, very concerned. It's not going to be a walk in the park.
No. The France are, like I said, these are the 2 best teams in the tournament. I'm sure whoever is on French TV this morning is probably saying France are the best team there. Like,
so I don't speak French. We're fine. We'll stay with rugby briefly. This was Johnny Sexton. This was going on all day yesterday. Johnny Sexton's EPCR hearing. And no white smoke, with no indication as to what the result is.
No, this is the longest. It's very hard, and like hopefully in time we will understand how this has come to take so long, because at this point we're now talking about a game that happened 8 weeks ago. Like, there hasn't been. I don't have any recollection of any other disciplinary hearing at all in rugby ever taking this long. There have been some considerations. I know that they couldn't start the investigation immediately because at the end of the season because of scheduled breaks and other things like that. But even at that, like, it seems like Johnny Sexton, by all accounts, was in there since 9 o'clock yesterday morning. It was a long day. Yeah. Like, it's hard to know really how we've come to a point where this has taken so long. I do understand the independent disciplinary panel. Like, this is a massive decision because of Johnny Sexton's status more than anything. Like, you know, he's the captain of the #1 country in the world. He's coming to the end of his career. It's a few weeks out from a World Cup. Like, it's not a decision you want to take lightly. So I have no doubt that they're taking this time because they want to get it right. Whether or not we get a decision today is still not certain. Like, they could take the weekend before deciding what's going to happen. Like, it's impossible to know really where this might end up at the moment. Like, you know, I suppose the hope from an Irish perspective is that if there is a ban to be served, that it'll only take account of the World Cup warm-up games in August and won't roll into the tournament proper. Like, that would, I think, probably would be the best case scenario. With the exception of Johnny Sexton being cleared entirely, that's the best case scenario, that it's a ban that takes place in August and he's ready to go again in September.
No indication that we will get a result today. It might even be next week by the time we hear anything. And then we're heading into Wimbledon. We had the women's semi-finals yesterday, and sad to see the Elina Svitolina go, the Ukrainian. She was sensational. She was the star of the show this year, wasn't she?
Yeah, she, like, undoubtedly the fan favourite for the entire tournament. Really a remarkable story, Elina Svitolina, in so many perspectives. Like, had a baby 9 months ago, is back in was in a Grand Slam quarter-final at the French Open, Grand Slam semi-final now at Wimbledon. You know, and also from Ukraine and from Odessa, which has been kind of one of the key battlegrounds in the war. Like, and she speaks so passionately about what this means to her to be out there representing Ukraine on the world stage, the support that she has got from within the country and without the country. Like, you know, and really just a remarkable story. Like, she was bidden for her first Grand Slam title. Like, you know, she was trying to do it as an unseeded player. Yes, like, unfortunately, the journey came to an end yesterday. And it was...
as it does, but so many people were rooting for her. We'll look very quickly ahead then to the women's finals. It's going to be, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the names. Could you do it for me?
Marketa Vondrousova against Ons Jabeur.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's tomorrow. And then on Sunday, well, the men's semis are today, and Djokovic, he's chasing his 24th Grand Slam.
Yeah, looking to equal Margaret Court's all-time record. He would probably, I think he said himself during the week, like, you know, he's still the favourite to win this, which I think is probably an understatement. He's a clear favourite to win it. Probably expected to come past Jannik Sinner today, but the other side of the draw is Carlos Alcaraz, the man who would be king, is coming to take down Novak Djokovic again. So
it's going to be an interesting weekend ahead.
He can get past Daniil Medvedev today, then, you know, it sets us up for another Djokovic-Alcaraz, which would be brilliant on Sunday.
Be fantastic. Niall Kelly from the 42.e, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Ray.
Much obliged. Right, don't forget you can see Ireland's under-20s going for that world title later today on Virgin Media 2. Coverage gets underway at 5:30. We're going to take a quick break now. Lots more still to come.
Back to Ireland AM now. The recent leaked text between Jonah Hill and his ex-girlfriend Sarah Brady revealed some very questionable and controlling conduct on the part of Hollywood actor. But how common is this kind of behaviour?
Plus, how do we talk to our teenagers about relationships? And as parents, should we be teaching our children red flags they should look for when dating? Here to unpack some serious dating advice is family therapist and author Richard Hogan. Richard, to kick things off, we will talk about what red flags are in a minute, but we're not talking about leaves the dishes, you know, on the thing, leaves the toilet seat up. We're talking about serious issues, kind of like what we saw Jonah Hill in the text to Sarah Brady. Just unpack that a little bit as to what we did see from the two of them.
Well, we saw him setting out very clear boundaries about what he wanted from the relationship and kind of like dictating what those boundaries were, and they were like non-negotiable boundaries if the relationship was going to be successful.
And it's interesting because this was like during the relationship. It wasn't the beginning, it wasn't the first time he was meeting her, but let's just call some of these out. So she is a professional surfer, she also models, so some of his boundaries were surfing with men, inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post sexual pictures, or friendships with women who are in unstable places and from your wild recent past beyond getting a lunch or a coffee or something respectful. Like, these are really, really specific, and they actually affect her day to day. It also affects her livelihood and her earnings. Like, so that's when it gets a bit beyond.
Well, when it's that rigid, you know, it becomes, what happens with this, you know, what we're kind of looking at there is the seeds of coercive control, and that's a very serious issue. And it's an issue that plagues a lot of families. There'll be a lot of families listening to this thinking, God, I think my daughter or my son, particularly my daughter, is probably in a relationship where the partner is coercively controlling them. And it's what happens actually is the world of the person who's been perpetrated this against, their world shrinks down and they reject their family, they reject their friends, and all of a sudden they're kind of walking on quicksand. They don't know what is certain and what isn't certain. And the more they reject their friends and family, the more they get celebrated by the person who's perpetrated, and the more they align with their family, then kind of like, you know, threats arrive.
Isn't it isolating people from their own thing? Because like Sarah Brady's a professional surfer, right? So that what he's stating in these text messages is actually what she's always done in her day-to-day life. Me and you were just chatting before we came live. And I said, God, it's weird that funny man Jonah Hill, we know him as this, you know, hilarious guy. We've seen him in movies. And you pointed out, is it insecurity? Because he's always been insecure with himself.
Absolutely. If you ever watch any of the interviews, you know, they would be very quite negative to him about his appearance. And this stuff, the roots of this stuff is, for coercive control, is early childhood trauma. You know, that's honestly where it comes from. It's like this idea that if this has happened to me, so I'm going to do this to you. And it's almost, you know, trauma-based entitlement. You know, which is a real seed of this thing, and insecurity. And I've got 3 daughters myself, and you're trying to point out red flags to them, and you're trying to teach them about what to see in a relationship and how to know what's healthy relationship and what's not a healthy relationship.
So when you're speaking to your daughters, like, how would you describe then what a red flag is for those who might not know?
Yeah, and I wouldn't even, I mightn't even use the language red flag, but I'm trying to tell them, you know, I'm smiling because I'm thinking of my grandmother used to always say to me, she lived with us, and she said, never marry someone who's tight. She always said, that was her red flag, and what that was about. But she said, there's nothing worse than a tight fella, right? And I think I say that to my daughter as well. If someone doesn't want to spend their money, you know, and doesn't want to do stuff, that's maybe a sign of their soul. But a big thing for me would be like around control, you know. And I say to my daughter, you should never let anyone dictate who you hang around with, who you talk to. And I'd say to her about jealousy, watch out for that thing, you know. When someone becomes very angry about who you're talking to, there's something to think about. And we have to be very careful how we talk to our kids about it, because let's say if our child is in a relationship, we can create the Romeo and Juliet kind of thing very quickly by saying, I don't like Katia, I think she's controlling it. And all of a sudden, you kind of find yourself in a bind. You want to prove your parents wrong. And that's what happens to a lot of people with coercive control. And I write about this in the Examiner a lot. And you'd be surprised with the amount of emails I get from families kind of saying, this is what we're living with at the moment. Our daughter's lost to us currently. And it's like, what I always say is, don't judge, don't push don't label the person as not a good person. Ask questions. What is it about the relationship, Katia, that you like? What is he supportive of you? And so you're asking them questions to critically evaluate what's kind of going on. Why aren't you hanging around with Sarah and Mairead anymore? I don't see them so much in your life anymore. So you're not saying, like, you know, he's making you not hang around with them. He's no good for you. You're asking questions.
They won't open up to you.
They won't open up to you because they don't want to hear, I told you so. I told you this guy wasn't good. So it's very important how you manage your relationship with your child, because everything that the person is doing to coercively control them is designed to push you away, and you should never collude with them. You should always stay in your child's life.
Has times changed? Because we were talking again, and I said to you, like, years ago, you wouldn't even tell your mother or father or your parents that you were seeing somebody, because it was, oh, no, you're not seeing anyone until you're 28 and you're married and you're off. So therefore, it's kind of hidden, you're hiding things away. Have things changed now that, say, from your instance, you're a father to 3 kids, have you noticed that they come to you more about this sort of stuff?
Well, I think with social media as well, there's so much more discussion, I think, around all of this stuff, you know. And I do think we're probably a little bit more open about our relationships, thankfully. I mean, if you think about it, you know, if a kid was in a family, say, 20 years ago and they were gay, they mightn't say anything around that idea, and they'd hold on to that like a terrible secret. But now, thankfully, you know, since 2015, we're a lot more open about our relationships and who we love, and we're a lot more, I think it's such an important idea. We're much more authentic about who we are, and so creating that culture in the family where you can talk about your relationships and what's going on in your relationship, and you don't feel like you're going to be judged about what's happening in the relationship or who you love, is such an important part of living a healthy life.
Absolutely. And just even referencing back to what Jonah Hill had texted his ex-girlfriend, it really comes down to setting boundaries at the beginning of a relationship and knowing what is okay and what's not okay. Let's take it back to even childhood. Like, should we be teaching children early about, like, how to say no to, like, simple things, like how they should say no and their boundaries? Should they be learning this from?
Such an important thing, Katia. I think we should always teach our children that this is what I meet a lot, you know, with women in their 40s, and they've developed the idea that to say yes means you're valuable, and that's your only value, and then you're a people pleaser, and it's the seeds of a lot of self-loathing and resentment in your life. And we have to teach our kids all that, you know, when they're young, that you don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to say yes, and if you don't want to do something that doesn't feel right for you, then you shouldn't do it. And we mightn't even be talking about, let's say, sexually speaking. We're talking about just things in general. If you're with your peers and you don't want to do that, that doesn't feel right. You should be able to have the strength of your character and the courage of your conviction to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get involved in that. I don't think I'll do that. It's such an important thing to develop in our kids, that they can critically evaluate what's going on with them, but that they value themselves enough to say no.
And Richard, quickly on this one, because I know we're talking about kids and how we teach our kids, but even nowadays, you can have friends who might be in relationships like this and they can't reach out because they feel they're too far in the situation. What's your best advice?
For the people who are in this situation currently, I think the most important thing is always to talk about what's going on in your life. I think people can feel very isolated, you know, and scared. Here's the other part, by the way, I work with people who are very scared in relationships. They feel like that if they do express what's happening to them, that, you know, they might fall foul to violence or whatever. But it's against the law now. We've a law that came in 2018 that said coercive control is it's an illegal position, to, you know, and there's ramifications in society for that. And so I think the most important thing is that we talk about our lived experience, we share what's happening with us. The more we have these discussions that we're having this morning, the more people feel a little bit more empowered to express their lived experience. And that's, I think, the starting point of getting healthy again and getting away from someone who isn't healthy in your life.
Amazing. Richard Hogan, thank you so much for that.
So much,
interesting conversation. Right, we'll take a quick break. Lots more still to come on Ireland AM.
Good morning, you lot, and welcome back to Ireland AM. If you're one of the 11,000 French people who call Ireland home, happy Bastille Day to you.
Bonjour. 11,000, there's a lot of you around, isn't there? Still to come, after several high-profile names were wrongly implicated in this week's BBC scandal, we're going to run through why you need to be careful with how you use your own social media.
It's Bastille Day, as we mentioned, so of course we're taking inspiration from our favourite American in Paris. Stylist Judy Gilroy joins us. Good morning to you.
Good morning, guys, or should I say bonjour?
Bonjour.
Bonjour. So this morning on the catwalk, we have got a French delight. We're taking inspiration from Emily in Paris, which I have to say, it's one of my favourite fashion movies.
Oh, have you watched it?
I haven't. I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to attempt to
Not even going to pretend.
I need a pair of those shades, definitely, for this hour of the morning. So I'm a bit blinky at this hour. And also coming up today, he's a star of Academy Award-winning short film An Irish Goodbye. The main man himself, James Martin, will be joining us in studio to chat about his life since his historic Oscar win.
And later on, we'll be joined by the daughter of legendary Kiera Dignam. Kiera Dignam will be discussing her father's musical legacy. And
lovely buns. Paul's in the kitchen.
You don't say that about me often, do you? You threw me off there, Ray. We've the perfect pick-me-up for your morning 11s. Catherine Fulvio joins us. Catherine, these look beautiful. What are they?
These are coconut jam squares. They're really easy to make. You really don't want to miss this.
They're like the biscuit version in the cake form, yeah?
Yeah, so you've got a lovely biscuit base, and then I'm also going to show how to make homemade strawberry jam with a bit of vanilla in it. And then we do a lovely coconut, slightly meringue topping. They're kind of chewy and crunchy at the same time.
You're spoiling us today. Right.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
This morning we'll see low pressure over Munster with heavy rain spreading northwards to all areas. Temperatures are ranging from 14 to 15 degrees. This afternoon then persistent heavy rain will hit Connacht, Leinster and Ulster. Conditions in the south will turn showery with the risk of thunderstorms in places. Temperatures will range from 14 to 17 degrees. And tonight we'll see that persistent rain continue with a threat of local flooding in places and temperatures ranging from 13 to 14 degrees.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Now, let's have a look at your morning newspapers for this Friday morning, and we'll start with the Irish Times. And the headline there reads, RTE and Tubridy at odds over evidence to committee. In a lengthy Oireachtas committee hearing yesterday, a clear difference between accounts given by Ryan Tubridy and his agent Noel Kelly and senior RTE executives has emerged.
The Irish Independent leads with Spotlight turns to golden handshakes for RTE chiefs. The paper reports that RTE is to launch an investigation into potential golden handshakes for senior executives who left the organisation.
The Examiner leading with emissions from transport surge to pre-COVID level. The paper has revealed that greenhouse gas emissions linked to transport are continuing to surge, despite a huge spike in people switching to electric vehicles.
Onto the tabloids, and the Daily Mail leads with Tubridy pay blocked by RTE bosses. Ryan Tubridy's pay has been suspended by RTE as the former Late Late Show host's future at the broadcaster continues to hang in the balance.
And the Mirror's headline reads, it's pay back time. The paper states that RTE has stopped paying the salary of Ryan Tubridy while he's off the air.
The Herald goes with, I found Kirsty dead, claimed suspect. The Irish man suspected of murdering mum Kirsty Ward in a Spanish hotel has claimed he had no involvement in her death.
And the Sun leading with Late Late Show Me the Money. The paper reporting that Ryan Tubridy's RTE career comeback is on, but only if he hands back €150,000.
And finally, the Star leads with another Reich mess. Dave Fanning has apologised for describing the grilling of Ryan Tubridy and Noel Kelly as a nonsensical Oireachtas Nuremberg trial.
And
Now,
that's the front pages.
If you remember a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about quiet quitting. Do you know what quiet quitting is, Ray?
Is it when you leave your job but you say, I'm leaving?
It's, you know what? You're not
Is
too
it when
far.
you text, maybe?
Yeah, you just whisper as you go out the door. You're like that Homer Simpson meme where you're just backing outside the door. No, quiet quitting is basically when you've just basically given up on your job, but you're doing it in like the smallest kind of sort of way. Just
You're
like,
on autopilot, kind of.
You're on autopilot. You're just getting through the day. You're getting from Monday to Friday. Yeah. Now we've heard of a new workplace trend called loud quitting.
Oh, right, okay.
What might that be?
Which does my brain in. Do you know when somebody is just hateful in the office? Somebody really just does not want to be there. They're resentful, they're nasty, they're negative, and they've just completely given up. So this is what we're now hearing about, which is called loud quitting. They're just unhappy at work, resentful that their needs aren't being met, and they're acting out on that unhappiness. Workers who are loud quitting tend to undermine what the organisation is trying to get done and share their discomfort with others in the organisation and even outside the organisation.
So are you talking about like someone whinging in the office, giving out all the time, like, this is rubbish, or why don't they ever give us our pay rises, or...
Yeah, but like everyone has those bad days. Like, you know, you can come in and have the bad day, but this is the sort of person who's in there Monday to Friday, just like walking by going, oh, for God's sake.
Do you know what? And that's the thing, like, because when you're around other employees, you kind of make it crap for them too.
Hate it.
Like, you know, especially if they enjoy their job, they're like, I better not enjoy it out loud. Like, you know?
I've been in dressing rooms, you know, doing shows and stuff like that, and you could be a long run of a gig, and somebody hates it 2 weeks in, and you've got another 6 weeks left of the contract, and you're like, I'm going to throw them out the window now if they don't cop on. It's the hardest thing in the world, is to be around people who just don't want to be there.
And now, were these people looking for other jobs while...
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Like, why do they call it quitting? If they're quitting, they're gone, or they should be gone imminently, right?
Well, the loud quitters are apparently always the one who are looking for the job. But you'll always find that they'll tell you they're looking for a job, I'm up for a new job. Yeah. They never find one.
They're another 15 years. Like,
I wish you the very best.
There for the pension.
I'll write the letter for you. Right, after the break, how to stay out of legal trouble. By the way, if you know a loud quitter, or you are a loud quitter, or you're keeping it under your hat, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. When using, this is the legal advice, when you're using your Insta or your social media channels. We've got that coming up for you. Stay tuned to Ireland AM. You're very welcome back. Now, Hugh Edwards was this week revealed as the BBC presenter who had been at the centre of allegations over payments for sexually explicit images.
But not before several other TV personalities were publicly and wrongly named on social media as being the person in question.
But are there any consequences for falsely accusing people on social media? Silicon Republic journalist Lee McGowran is here with what you need to know to stay safe legally online. And I suppose as this thing was going on, the longer it was dragged out without him being named officially, this is Edwards in the BBC, the more BBC presenters, male BBC presenters, were being targeted, named, and claims were being made on social media that it was them. They had to come out and say and deny it and say, no, it's not me, it's not me.
Absolutely. I mean, the witch hunt began from day one, really. By Saturday, I think 2 or 3 presenters had to openly say, oh, it's not me. And I mean, it's human nature. Like, you know, oh, there's an unnamed, you know, high-profile individual who's potentially, you know, sexual allegation. People are going to want to know who it is. So it's easy for misinformation, the rumour mill, to spread online. It can start maliciously. It can start with one person just declaring, oh, it's this person.
It's such and such.
But after that, it gets muddied in the waters and people start believing, oh, I've heard this. It's probably true. They spread it. And that's the big issue, I guess, for people should be aware of, I guess, you know, things aren't always true. But also, it's hard to actually try and pursue this because if one person spreads false information and then 10,000 people retweet it, you can't really target the 10,000 people who spread it. You know, lots of them don't realise that it is false information anyway.
And I think the danger is that a lot of people can put out a social media rumour that can be portrayed as such a fact. People really start to believe it. I mean, we've seen Rylan Clark, Jeremy Vine, Gary Lineker, they all came out to say, I am not the person in question here, because once something is online, it's there forever, right? And I suppose these are one of the dangers of the social media rumour mill. What are some of the other dangers?
Well, I guess, yeah, like as you said, the internet and social media has a very long memory, but it's not always the correct memory. So if you Google this years from now, you're going to see some of these falsely accused presenters, their image right there with everyone else. So that's going to be an issue. I guess the other danger, I mean, look, this is one example of how misinformation can spread. And it's just, people kind of realise eventually it is rumours. But there's so many different avenues and different ways that disinformation can subtly be put in. And technology is making that, is going to make that much worse. The likes of AI advancements, it's easy to make a fake profile with a very realistic AI-generated image. You can use AI-generated voices. You can make websites that look like legitimate news sites, but they're not. They're completely fake. So it's very easy for false information to spread. And once it goes online, it can spread like wildfire. So that's
and that was one of the issues, certainly. Like, you immediately have, particularly when legally the official news channels or the mainstream media aren't allowed legally to name anyone. And it was the case that you're not allowed to name anyone. You immediately think, Twitter will have it. I'll hop on Twitter and see what it is. But then the way Twitter works is that it has its own algorithm pumping information in a certain direction to you. And then once someone who has been incorrectly identified on Twitter, once that one tweet starts getting more clicks, Twitter starts serving it up, and then all of a sudden people are being incorrectly identified. What repercussions could people face for putting that up then under their name on Twitter or on other social channels?
Well, I guess the main, if someone has their own actual name and stuff online and they share something that is potentially defaming, they can definitely face legal repercussions from the individual in question. It also goes into specific laws. Like, for example, in Ireland, you can't name, minors in crimes. That was shown in the Anna Kriegel case. Around 10 people were sent to court for showing photos of boy A and boy B. I believe one was actually charged for as well. Some of their defences were that they didn't realise how public they were sharing the information. Oh, I thought it was just like a small group on social media, but it was actually on Twitter's main news site. So that'd be the main thing. If you're sharing information, make sure you're sharing it in a private group if you're not sure, because if you're putting it on Twitter, it can just, the snowball effect can kick in, goes viral, you don't realise.
And even tracking these people down, I suppose the likes of AI might make it a bit worse or a bit harder, because a lot of people who might have malintent can go out and spread a dangerous rumour, but then hide behind like a hidden profile, create a totally fake profile around themselves. Would it be harder for people to track these down? And do social media sites have an obligation now to make it easier for people to find these people out?
Currently, I would say it is very difficult to track certain groups, and there's so many websites involved that some websites exist that are just designed to spread disinformation. You know what I mean? There was one website called Kiwi Farms, and it was notorious for just targeting individuals online, spreading false information, harassment campaigns, and it's easy then to hide behind, various technology. Social media sites in general, I would say, kind of get away with things because they're not really publishers. They can sort of omit some responsibility, more or less. That's set to change. The EU is pushing the Digital Services Act, which is sort of puts the onus on these massive companies like Facebook, Twitter, Google Search to spot illegal content, disinformation, have complaints to be sent in. They have to actually report on them, and they can face massive fines if they don't. So the landscape will change in time, but it's just a matter of when, I suppose.
A lot of people, like the general user, though, of Twitter is not aware of these laws in the background. Everyone has the notion, and I suppose from watching American television particularly, or American movies, free speech, I can say what I like, you know, I've got the freedom of speech. But that's not actually protected in this part of the world.
Not in every case, no. And I would say I think there is a benefit for free speech on social media, and there's a benefit for anonymity online as well. Like there's important uses for that. People should be allowed to say what they feel, and people should be allowed to, you know, share their opinions online. But no, there are certain cases where I guess people assume, oh, it's online, it's completely safe. The UK and Ireland has examples where if you say something, the individual can target you, or you could be breaching a specific law in your country. So I would say err on the side of caution before you're targeting specific individuals online.
Especially if they're defaming the person, they can't really say what they want.
Well, there's a difference between declaring your opinion on somebody and declaring some statement of what they're doing, an actual accusation, particularly on the likes of Twitter, where it's very easy to directly, you know, link to a high-profile individual's, you know, profile and be like, you've done this. And you see examples of people threatening legal action on that online. So the last thing someone wants is for a very powerful figure to suddenly be taking the aim at you. You know?
Yeah, and it's worth explaining to people what defamation is. It's sullying someone's reputation. Yeah,
exactly. Just intentionally trying to sully someone's reputation. Usually, the onus then would be, especially in Irish law, the onus would be on the individual who made the claim to prove that it's true. So then, if you're only going on rumour and what you've heard, you're in serious legal trouble.
And now some people might have posts on Facebook that, let's say, are more private and might not be pushed that well. But then on Twitter, Ray spoke about this earlier, you could end up going viral for just a comment that you put out that you thought maybe just your followers might see. So can people use that excuse, I suppose? Like, they didn't know it was going to be seen as much. They didn't know it was going to be viral. They thought it was going to be, you know, a private comment. Like, can people use that to defend themselves if they're held in court?
If I went into court, I would say it depends on what's actually in, what the content is itself. And there's a difference between saying what you've heard or what you reckon or what you've declared is true. That's the main thing. So, I mean, if someone's uncertain, always err on the side of caution. Make it clear it's your own opinion. You know what I mean? That would be the main thing. People should still be allowed to say what they feel about individuals, but making some outlandish claim is...
Saying that allegedly, does that protect you or not?
I wouldn't want someone quoting me in court going, you know, oh, but Lee said allegedly, I'm safe, I'm covered. So I don't want to... Best to be better safe than sorry if there's legal action. But again, you know, but again, look, the issues of false information. Generally with social media, I mean, it's an issue for the individual, but I think a bigger issue is also the fact that it's just so easy for so many different forms of false information to come online. And then as so many people spread it, you don't realise where it began anymore. So then this rumour, and then with certain topics, like, you could end up in very dangerous territory.
And if you want to... I suppose if you can't put the genie back in the bottle, as they say. You can't take it back once it's out there. Exactly. If you want Lee's legal advice, or if you want him to act as a witness in your High Court challenge, he works for Silicon Republic. You can contact him directly there. Nothing to do with us. Okay?
I would say my science and tech advice would be preferred than my legal advice.
And my advice: if you've nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. But anyway,
that's a good advice.
After the break, the perfect treat for your mid-morning snack. We're up in the kitchen next. Thanks so much.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
This morning we'll see low pressure over Munster with heavy rain spreading northwards to all areas. Temperatures are ranging from 14 to 15 degrees. This afternoon then, persistent heavy rain will hit Connacht, Leinster and Ulster. Conditions in the south will turn showery with the risk of thunderstorms in places. Temperatures will range from 14 to 17 degrees. And tonight we'll see that persistent rain continue with a threat of local flooding in places and temperatures ranging from 13 to 14 degrees.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Welcome back. Now, myself and Ray, we've been up since the crack of dawn today, so it's time to turn the attention to our bellies.
Yes. Catherine Fulvio joins us with the perfect option for your 11s. Although, what time is it now?
It's just gone.
Your half 8s.
We're going to have half 8s. I'm with you on that one.
And you're doing something, a sweet treat for Bastille Day. We're having a treat this morning.
Ooh la la. Yeah. Well, there's a bit of meringue topping on it. It's close enough. Yeah, so this is strawberry jam coconut squares. So there's 3 steps to it, and they are so Moorish. So the first thing I wanted to cover was how to make your own jam. And it's so easy.
Okay.
So you get your hob on, full blast ahead, right? And then, I mean, there's lots of fresh strawberries. A lot of people grow a few strawberries or that in their back garden now, but there's lots available at the moment, or black currants or anything like that. You get your fruit in, so that's your strawberries in. Now, I'm putting a bit of vanilla in as well, just for that extra bit of flavour.
Is that a good high heat there now to throw those into?
Exactly, full blast. Now, this is the sucre jam sugar. This is vital for this.
It's a
specific...
Specific. It has pectin in it and it has citric acid in it. And what you got to do is, we'll get our heat down a tiny bit now and give it a little stir just to melt that sugar. But the pectin is the gelling agent that's already mixed into the sugar. And then what happens with the citric acid is it helps the pectin activate. There's your little science lesson this morning now.
It's specifically for jam, so you won't be using that necessarily for your cup of tea or your cup of...
Not unless you want your tea set.
It can be very jelly. So jam sugar. I generally jam sugar into my mouth.
This is foolproof. Absolutely foolproof.
That makes it quite simple.
Yeah, very, very
Is this a
simple.
new product to the market?
No, I grew up with it because we always at home at the farm, we always grew our own, and Mum used to always make apple jelly. I don't know, some viewers might remember making the apple jelly in the autumn. You definitely need the short set sugar first. Yeah, whatever's in season is a great way of using up the fruit. Any bruised fruit or anything like that, you get your own. And so I'm just giving this a quick stir like this just to melt the sugar. And then it's so foolproof, you just boil that vigorously for 4 minutes and it sets. Your jam sets for you. You don't have to do any of that, you know, thermometer testing, or years ago, well, I still do it sometimes, put the plate in the freezer. Have you ever heard that one? You put your plate in the freezer and then you put a bit of jam on it, and if you can run your finger through and it stays separate, your jam is going to set.
And when that's all set then, does that need to go into like pots and ramekins to go into the fridge and the rest of it?
Just cool it down, and then you sterilise a jar and you put it in your jar. Right? Cool. So that's how you make your own. So I might just turn that off in case I make some mistake with it now, because I don't want to waste it, because I want to get on with the rest. So, well, actually, no, it's like simmering there. We'll leave it to simmer.
4 minutes or so.
4 minutes, vigorous boil. The instructions are on the pack.
Well, the strawberries, I know you've only just started, Catherine, but it'll sort of break down the fruit a little bit for you.
Do you
Good
like
question.
bits?
You can actually mash them.
I like a bit of bits.
A bit of bits.
Too many bits, though, but a little bit.
Only bits.
But you could mash them before you put them in. And again, it says it on the pack, so it's foolproof.
Okay,
now, we need a biscuit base. So there's 3 steps to this. So the jam is, shall we say, made. Now we need to get the biscuit base done. So in here, I've already got flour, corn flour, which gives it a crispiness, just a tablespoon of corn flour, and butter. So rub that in. And here I have 1 egg and 1 egg yolk. And we'll give that a little whisk. Like that. And in that goes.
So that's flour, corn flour, and then your 1 egg.
Yes, and it's your caster sugar, your sugar caster sugar goes in there. And then we're going with our little bit of orange zest, but you could put anything in. Cinnamon, ginger, whatever you wanted. Like a bit of ginger would be nice now with it, with the jam. So in goes your orange zest. So you've got a little orange base, but I always think orange and strawberry go so well together. So chocolate chip could go in.
Strawberry and lime, maybe?
Oh, yes, strawberry and lime's a lovely
chip,
combo.
now you're talking.
Yeah. Now, and then in goes our sugar caster sugar. So in that goes. And then we just give this a nice mix-up like this. All right? And then you need a little drop of milk to bring it together. So you have to kind of eyeball it with the milk. All right?
Bit by bit.
Bit by bit. And we'll get a spatula and we'll stir that.
The full recipe is going to be on the website, though, won't it?
So you guys will tell me how we're doing for time now, because I want to make sure I get the topping in.
I haven't a clue, Catherine. I'm just watching you cook the dinner.
Cook the dinner.
We've just about 4 minutes.
Oh, sure, we're loads of time. We need to leave time to taste these. Now, because you've been up so early this morning, but it's lovely to make a sweet treat. And I particularly went with this recipe because we're in the summer season, and it's a nice thing for parents to do with kids. Do you know, if you're trying to think of something to do in the kid, keep them busy.
The barrel of a day with nothing else to do in this summer camp. It doesn't start till next Monday.
There you go.
I met one of my parents yesterday from the school I teach, and they said, I've nothing to do with her. I've nothing to do with her. What can I do? Well, this is what we can do.
This is exactly what you can do.
Recipe.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. So now
the milk is going in. You're giving it a look to make sure that it's all going well.
Yeah, it's all going well, and then it goes into your brownie tin like that. In she goes like that, you see, and then you just flatten it out Flatten it out nicely, and then that goes into the oven, 180 degrees, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So pretend I flattened that out, and here's one we did earlier.
Just under 3 minutes.
Thank you. So we'll just move that aside there for a second. Precariously balanced. Now, here we go, one made earlier. Now we need our jam. Okay. So, if I start the topping, would you spread the jam on?
Listen.
There we go. I can pass it over to you if you'd like.
There
we go.
I'll take care of it.
And then the topping is over here. So for the topping, we have 1 whole egg and 1 egg white. So we're wasting nothing because we have the egg white left from making the base.
From earlier on, yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then in we need another little bit of sugar. And for this, I'm going to make a tad of noise.
Go for it.
And we get our machine on.
That's done already nearly. Yeah, very quick.
Ash, you're a natural at that now.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's not your first rodeo.
Not my first rodeo.
Yeah.
Normally I'm shoving the spoon in my mouth, though. And so, like, the kids can get involved with this then and keep everybody in the house happy.
So, yeah. And it's just being able to make your own jam. I think for the kids that's a really nice touch.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's a good present, isn't it? It's like, we'll bring the jar over to Granny's, or we made this.
You're teaching a little skill. I'm sorry, I hope that wasn't too loud for you.
That's all
No,
right.
it was grand.
You work away.
I'll bring the earplugs the next time. And then all we do is put the coconut in. See, like this.
Where'd you get the coconut? You can get it in a bag, can you?
Yes, yeah. You just buy the desiccated coconut in the supermarket.
Okay, gotcha.
And there's our coconut topping. You see, like this. And then...
I have a vision of Catherine Fulvio up climbing a palm tree.
I grew up in Ballyknocken, actually. Amazing what you can grow in Wicklow.
Now, have I done justice for you
You
there?
have done that perfectly. That's so nice.
Deadly.
There we go. And there's our jam on top. And now your coconut goes on top. And then these simply go into the oven for 25 minutes. They bake. And then you have your strawberry jam coconut squares.
Would you look at that?
How
you
easy are
decorated
they?
these with the edible flowers on top,
I did.
haven't you?
I love growing my edible flowers back home at the cookery school, and this is borage, calendula, and feverfew. Feverfew now is for headaches or hangovers. But anyways, would you like to try a couple of squares there? You've earned it, being my assistant chef this morning.
You take a photograph and send it to Granny now as well. In school today. Doesn't it look lovely? Fantastic.
Oh, now hold on. Oh,
here's what I want you to make.
Catherine Fulvio, you've done it again.
Up my street.
You nailed it.
Brilliant. Delighted. Very practical, very easy. And you don't want anything too complicated to be making.
It's lovely. Your mouth is full now. You can't plug the website or anything, can you?
I'll leave it to you.
All right, in that case then, we're done. Catherine, you're a gem. You're a legend, as always.
Sure.
Always a pleasure to see you. Always a delight. Right, the full recipes details are up on our website. That's virginmediatelevision.ie/Ireland AM.
My legs are kicking, I'm so giddy. Up next, we're taking a trip to the City of Lights. We're celebrating Bastille Day over at the catwalk. See you in a bit.
Bonjour, mes amis. It is Bastille Day. So in fashion today, we're talking inspiration of everyone's favourite, I suppose, American in Paris? Yeah. Emily in Paris?
Emily in Paris.
It's Emily in Paris.
Troubadour stylist Judy Gilroy joins us, and there's not a beret to be found. Judy, Emily in Paris is our inspiration, yes? Today.
It is. And you know, this is one of my favourite fashion TV shows, for sure. Like, the style in it is just iconic. It had the same costume designer as the costume designer for Sex and the City at the beginning, so it got off to a really good start. And today, in honour of Bastille Day, we're taking some inspiration.
So our first look is Lily Collins, yes?
Yeah, I mean, you can't do Emily in Paris style without copycatting Emily in Paris, and this is from season 3. And today I have taken inspiration from this look right down to the T. And I think that this is a beautiful look for now, for summer, people with holidays and events and summer parties
Polka
and
dots
everything
are so
coming
fun
up.
as well.
They are,
Fun way
and you
to
know
dress
what?
up.
They are an absolute classic. You can't go wrong. So today I have copied right down to the accessories. There, I've got the tortoise shell sunglasses. These are all from Tipperary, which you can shop at tipperarycrystal.ie. Same with our necklace and our earrings. In the picture there, we saw Lily wearing beautiful pearl pieces, which again are a real classic to go with that polka dot. And super price points on those. We've got the matching earrings and the necklace. I think 14 and 16 euros. So just really simple pieces. Now,
for the main event
the
itself.
Piece de resistance.
The piece de resistance today is from vavavoom.ie, which you can shop online. This one is a co-word set, which means you buy it together, and it's under €50 there, it's €42. Now, I know that our model Kiera today has an absolute beautiful figure and she's very tall. But just to point out about this skirt and this top, if people are conscious of showing their tummies, you can show less of a gap in between, so you can hoosh the skirt up a little bit. It's really flattering. Trust me, this is a piece that everybody can wear. So this is a really similar look to what we saw Emily donning on her way to Provence there in season 3. And I think it's a really cute look for summertime. So then, you know Emily, she loves a good stiletto. I don't think you see a flatter trainer in the whole, 3 or 4 seasons. So we're getting a lovely flash there of our handbag there, which is very designer inspired. €60 there from Tipperary Crystal. And just neutral because we're playing with so much colour. And then the shoes.
You're really playing with these colour on these shoes.
I am, yeah. These shoes are just so fab. So these are €50 from greenshoes.com. And you know, going for a real statement stiletto is something we see throughout the entire series, and it's a really fun way to make a statement.
Yeah, and their next photo we have Sylvie, who was Emily's boss.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now Sylvie, I have to say, I think she was probably my best dressed throughout the whole
classic
season.
French style. Yeah.
Really classic French style, really simple. And what she does really well is, you know, playing with that silhouette, but with a pop of colour.
Oh, I love this.
This is really beautiful, and I think this is a really easy one for everyone at home to wear as well. So today I have recreated this look from Marks and Spencer's. So I'm going to start off with some of the details first in our jewellery, because when you're wearing a bright colour like orange, your golds and your rose golds work really well with that. So I've gone for the matching popcorn chain necklace and bracelet. These are from Romy Dublin, which you can shop at tipperaycrystal.ie. These come in any metal you want, so gold, rose gold and silver. So I think whatever your style, you can go for it. But seeing our beautiful blouse there from Marks and Spencer's, I think orange and gold go really well together.
The print on that is beautiful as well.
It's so subtle. Yeah. And you know what? This is a nice tone of orange, because I know people can be afraid to wear colour, but this is a really easy way to do it. So our blouse today is €65. Our jeans are also autographed at Marks and Spencer.
What would they be called? Like, is that a wide leg or?
Yeah,
that's
so this is a wide leg jean, and wide leg jeans I think are probably the most flattering on the market at the moment, and they're also the most popular. What I love about these jeans, and you don't often see it in white jeans, is they've got a huge amount of stretch to them. So you know, sometimes you put on a pair of white jeans and you're like, oh, I need to take these off after my dinner. That won't happen with these jeans. So they're a really, really great pair of jeans. They're wide legs, so super flattering. I've styled them today with a great pair of heels, but you can go for flats with these as well. I think that they go with everything. So I've just gone for a really nice, simple court shoe. I think Sylvie Gratto definitely into a point. And these are a great price point again from Green Shoes, €45, and they're going to go with anything and everything in your wardrobe.
And to top it off with our bag there?
Our bag today, again from Tipperary Crystal, going for that tan colour, just mixing in with that colour palette really, really well. Yeah, it's a real classic.
Now for our next look, we're keeping with Sylvie. But we're going to white dress statement belt. It's all about the statement belt for this next look, yes?
Yes. Now, it's all about cinching in the waist with this next look. And what I've taken from this look is I've really gone for like that tote bag, that kind of idea of going for something really neutral and really simple and cinching in that waist. So we've got Yomiko today recreating this look in a beautiful ecru dress, which I think is perfect for summertime and people are going to love. So what I love about this look here on Yomiko is that actually this dress is really loose, and then you cinch it in with the belt and it adds great silhouette, which Sylvie is really, really good at doing. So we're getting a look at our fabulous sunglasses there. They're €25. These are from Tipperary Crystal. And you know, because we're going for that real classic, neutral, minimal aesthetic, I've kept all of the jewellery and accessories, just really simple in that same colour palette, nothing too wild. And then Paul, as you said yourself, you could add in like a statement belt or a statement scarf if you wanted to play around with colour. So our dress today is €32. I think the price point on this is amazing.
Really nice.
This is from Va Va Voom. And this comes in full size range, but what I love about this is that actually this is quite a voluminous dress. So if you wore it without the belt, it would be really easy and breezy on holidays, but then you can cinch it in with the belt for a night out, so it's super versatile.
It's perfect for a capsule wardrobe as well, because this is something you can keep taking out throughout summer. You know?
And wear a million different ways, throw on a little cashmere knit.
The belt comes with this dress?
The belt comes with this dress, but as you said yourself, you could totally switch out the belt for something bright or fun to mix it up.
You've kept the colour scheme going with the bag as well.
I have indeed, and I have kept, I followed Sylvie's style notes on this one. She was wearing a big tote bag in the picture, and you know what? We all need a big bag for everything and everything, including the kitchen. Yeah. When you open it up, it has everything, and I think that this is a really chic one.
And then the shoes also have that element of jewellery to it, but are also quite neutral, but it's complementing everything.
Exactly. So these guys are only €30 from Green Shoes. They're very neutral, but as you said there, they've got that metallic detail. And I think for me, Emily in Paris, like the stilettos and the shoes, they're always very decadent. They're always very metallic and luxurious. And I think that these are actually a great shoe just to bring a simple outfit to life.
And then we're moving back to Emily for our last
We
look.
are indeed. So for our last look today, a real common theme throughout the show is the colour green. So, Katja, you're very on point today.
Totally on plan.
That bright, bright green. And actually, this bright, bright green is really on trend at the moment. People are going to be seeing it in the shops all the time. And then another thing is that those clashing prints. So I thought that with this look, I should give you a little bit of a masterclass in clashing with prints and using those bright colours. So first off, I have kept the accessories to an absolute minimum because we're playing with different prints in the jumper and in the skirt. I haven't really gone for an earring. I haven't gone for like big necklaces because you just want to keep everything really simple if you're playing with those bright colours and prints. So this look today is from Marks & Spencer's, which you can shop in stores nationwide or online. The blazer, I love this. This is €70. M&S do a fantastic blazer, and it's a great way to add a pop of colour. If you've got dark hair, this colour is going to be particularly good on you, and you don't have to wear the mixed and matched prints as I've done today. You can wear it with a white t-shirt and jeans
it comes
as well.
Like cinched in. It's like a 3/4 length sleeve, is it?
Yeah, so it's got a fantastic silhouette and it's just really, really flattering. So I've styled that over the little striped top. Stripes are an absolute classic to wear under a blazer or with anything else in your wardrobe, and that's like the little round neck knit, which I think is a nice kind of luxurious version of a t-shirt. And then I've gone for a different print on the skirt, which is key, not going for the same prints on the top on the skirt. And then to top it all off, I've gone for these very designer-inspired shoes, but for €35 from Green Shoes.
So much different print, but all working together in the one look.
Yeah, it all works. Yeah,
Brilliant.
I've absolutely loved these Bastille Day looks. You nailed it. I want to go watch Emily in Paris all over again.
Nailed it, Judy.
Thanks so much, Judy.
Thanks, guys.
Now, still to come, he had a host of A-listers sing him happy birthday at the Academy Awards this year. Oscar winner James Martin joins us.
And there's a French classic for lunch. Happy Bastille Day. See you in a bit.
Oh, hi there. Good morning. If you've still got the remote and the kids aren't watching cartoons, well, then you're tuned to Ireland AM. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Well, still to come, from working in Starbucks to jetting off to the Academy Awards, James Martin will be joining us to tell us how his life has completely changed since his famous Oscar win this year.
Plus, how Kiera Dignam's music has created a new legacy. His daughter Kiera explains how her dad has influenced her own music career.
And our Paul is à la cuisine. Paul, what are you whipping up for us today?
Well, as we've been saying, it's Bastille Day, so we're serving up something French for lunch. Tara Walker joins us. Tara, what's on le menu?
We have a lovely caramelised leek and Gruyère tart.
Oh,
yes.
Say it again,
Gruyère and leek tart. So it's caramelised leeks. I have them caramelising here really nice and slowly, and they're going to be really sweet.
Let's just get a fork. Forget them two. We're going straight into it. Right.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
This morning we'll see low pressure over Munster with heavy rain spreading northwards to all areas. Temperatures are ranging from 14 to 15 degrees. This afternoon then persistent heavy rain will hit Connacht, Leinster and Ulster. Conditions in the south will turn showery with the risk of thunderstorms in places. Temperatures will range from 14 to 17 degrees. And tonight we'll see that persistent rain continue with a threat of local flooding in places and temperatures ranging from 13 to 14 degrees.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Friday morning, the 14th of July. Let's have a look at your papers, and we'll start with the Irish Times. The headline reads, RTE and Tubridy at odds over evidence to committee. In a lengthy Oireachtas committee hearing yesterday, a clear difference between accounts given by Ryan Tubridy and his agent Noel Kelly and senior RTE executives emerged.
The Irish Independent leads with spotlight turns to golden handshakes for RTE chiefs. The paper reports that RTE is to launch an investigation into potential golden handshakes for senior executives who left the organisation.
The Examiner this morning leads with emissions from transport surge to pre-COVID level. The paper revealed that greenhouse gas emissions linked to transport are continuing to surge. That's despite a huge spike in people switching to electric vehicles.
Onto the tabloids now, and the Daily Mail leads with Tubridy pay blocked by RTE bosses. Ryan Tubridy's pay has been suspended by RTE as the former Late Late Show host's future at the broadcaster continues to hang in the balance.
And the Mirror's headline reads, it's pay back time. The paper states that RTE has stopped paying the salary of Ryan Tubridy while he's off the air.
The Herald goes with, I found Kirsty dead, claims suspect. The Irishman suspected of murdering mum Kirsty Ward in a Spanish hotel has claimed he had no involvement in her death.
And the Sun has the Late Late Show Me the Money. The same story everywhere. The paper reporting that Ryan Tubridy's RTE career comeback is on if he hands back €150,000.
And finally, the Star leads with another right mess. Dave Fanning has apologised for describing the grilling of Ryan Tubridy and Noel Kelly as a nonsensical Oireachtas Nuremberg trial.
And they're all of your front pages this morning. Up next, Oscar winner James Martin will be right here with us. You're in for a treat. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Ireland AM. Our next guest made headlines around the world when he and his leopard print jacket stole the show at this year's Oscars, becoming the first leading man with Down syndrome to star in an Academy Award-winning film.
That's right, and who can forget that wonderful moment when the Oscars crowd erupted in song to sing happy birthday to Mr. James Martin, who joins us now with his mum Suzanne. But first, let's check James out in his starring role in An Irish Goodbye.
How do you think Mum would feel about you treating her remains this way?
How would she feel about you selling her farm?
Did you think it was just going to sit here gathering dust? What's the point in a house if no one wants to live in it?
I want to live in it, you
Larkin, what are you doing? What are you doing?
taking my half off Mum.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop that now. Stop it and give it back down. You just stop it.
Take your hands off me, you
An Irish goodbye. That's amazing.
Literally
Beautiful.
an applause.
Yeah. We would ask you not to swear now for the rest of the interview.
Yes, yes.
Our beeper isn't working, okay?
I'm sorry that I can't.
First of all, James and Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us. James, I'll come to you first. What a year it's been. Are you still on cloud nine?
If someone might say to me right now, right, a life of a roller coaster will happen, I would say it's a hell of a roller coaster.
It's an absolute hell of a roller coaster.
You know, really, it's you couldn't plan something in 1 year. Not just going to mark up to your knees to a BAFTA in London, going to the Oscars, going to the IFTAs in 1 year. You're thinking to yourself, that's just incredible.
What's it been like? This was back in, the Oscars was back in March. Did you have any sense going there that, like, or even in production of the movie, that it was going to be as successful as it was?
It still is very successful because it's amazing how when you see other people, not just spotting me, but also it's all down to the job. And it does a job for me. It's kind of like work for me.
Yeah.
So like picking up, okay, it's really nice to pick up on the road, like the BAFTA and the Oscars. So it was going away for me was actually work for me.
Yeah.
So it was actually really nice just to be included.
Yeah.
A question I always have, because I'm always glued to award season, right? So I watch from the very, very start, the very first one, all the way right to the Oscars, which is always the pinnacle. As things moved on, did you know it was your performance was building this traction towards the Oscars? And did you kind of have to talk yourself down off a ledge to be like, if you don't get it, it's okay, you have all these other accolades behind you? Or were you like, no, the Oscar's mine?
No, it wasn't to do with that. You know, it was all like, you see, before that we went to America, it was kind of like your nose was building up. Yeah. And in a good way, not in a bad way. But I've learned when you go to America, you treat them as your colleagues, your friends, I mean, it's kind of like a special bond. It's like kind of like a baby to you.
Well, speaking of friends, you've made all the fans in Tiltontown. It turns out you were a harmonica player to beat the band, am I right?
Yes, that's right, yes. If it wasn't for that, I'd get an Oscar now, but... but no.
This is you performing, was it O'Brien's Bar in Los Angeles? And you were performing on there. Did you join in? Were you asked? Or you're like, oh, well, I've got my harmonica with me. I'll give it a bash.
I was actually through, because you can tell, my uncle, my mum's brother Damien, and he has a big music head on him. Yeah. And we decided to play some music in O'Brien's Bar, and since then it's going really well. And next minute I was on Twitter, it was up to like 42,000 people. And I'm thinking, amazing. This is just crazy, you know, how that comes about.
How long were you guys over there for when the awards were on? Like, was there a big campaign going on at the time?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But no comments on that.
All right, okay.
And something we have to talk about, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock Dwayne Johnson, is like not only a fan of your acting, but also your fashion sense. The two of you were bantering about fashion the whole time.
Well, it was actually really good just to talk to him. I mean, just for 15, 25 minutes. And I mean, I just couldn't believe it.
Is he as nice as he seems?
Very nice fella. Sorry, very nice big fella.
Very nice
big guy, yeah, even the photograph there is huge.
You know, it's kind of, you see, especially on the day of the Oscars, I want to sing happy birthday to you. Let's face it, 5,000 actors. I mean, that's like talking half of the world coming to you, really. But it's kind of like when you're talking to Dwayne and myself, yes, won the jackets, but we do have something in common.
Yeah.
Of course, and we're both actors.
Yeah, and
so
you'll always
it was
have
actually really lovely just to have, you know, really.
Yeah. Suzanne, the pressure's going to be on for you next year for the birthday party.
Oh, I know.
We didn't top that one.
I know. From James was 21, we said last birthday party, and we mean it. And then it was like, well, what about next year? And then it was, oh, you know, I'm 25. We're not allowed to say what age he was this year because he's now a man.
Right,
you know?
yeah, fair enough. Well, there's also that's a part of the actor's thing as well. You never tell your true age.
Never tell your true age, but what a birthday.
Suzanne, did you always know with James that he was destined for stardom. And, you know, how did his love of acting kind of kick off as you as mother kind of watched the journey?
It hasn't really been like that, and I think that's what other people find quite fascinating. James was involved, is still involved, with a drama group called Bonjour for people with learning disability in Belfast. And then ups and downs, Owen Cleland was looking for an actor with Down syndrome, so he did auditions around Northern Ireland and picked James for that. And then some people involved in Marcella found James. And in our house, James kind of reads his lines. There's no big fuss, you know, it's just, when's that being shot? Right, that's okay. How are you going to get there? Does your dad need to pick you up? So that's how it is. And then an Irish Goodbye, we were coming out of lockdown and, you know, there was a lot going on and it was shot over a very short period of time. We didn't see it until the following January. And then we didn't see it again until we went to, I didn't see it again, you probably did, but I didn't see it again until we went to LA the following year. But we could feel the momentum building. We knew there was something very special had happened.
It's incredible. And the success has been fantastic, yeah.
And also, the attention of it all was just fantastic. Not just watching the movie itself, but also everyone
loving it.
Just loves it. Yes, it's a funny show.
Yeah.
And trust me, I can make it funny.
Yeah.
Really. It was kind of in that way.
You must have enjoyed watching other people watching it after you'd seen it then.
Well, because of that and everyone else, because of in COVID and lockdown, they all so grumpy and sad, and you want to have something to lift. And that's why An Irish Goodbye was.
Well, it was absolutely brilliant.
In that way, you know, really.
And of course, we're also proud. We're on this side of the world, we're all cheering for you and delighted for you as well and cheering along. A quick mention, and you're, of course, you're hugely proud, Suzanne, but a proud moment last week as well, because you're a professor of occupational therapy, and your university conferred James with an honorary degree.
Yeah,
how was that?
Very special, and very special to introduce James. We got a letter through James's agent whenever the announcement of the BAFTA and the Oscar had been made, so I actually didn't know anything about it until the letter came through, and it was a really lovely day, wasn't it, James? Was very special.
It was kind of funny, and that we were not allowed to tell anyone until it was actually open to everyone. And me and my dad, Ivan, was kind of laughing our heads off going, is this actually for a joke? It wasn't.
It's absolutely
It was actually a real thing, you know, really.
Yeah, James and Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an honour to have a conversation with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Still to come, a taste of gay Paris in the kitchen.
And we're remembering the late Kiera Dignam. His daughter Kiera will be with us in just a few minutes, and we'll see you soon.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
This morning we'll see low pressure over Munster with heavy rain spreading northwards to all areas. Temperatures are ranging from 14 to 15 degrees. This afternoon then persistent heavy rain will hit Connacht, Leinster and Ulster. Conditions in the south will turn showery with the risk of thunderstorms in places. Temperatures will range from 14 to 17 degrees. And tonight we'll see that persistent rain continue with a threat of local flooding in places and temperatures ranging from 13 to 14 degrees.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
All morning we've been celebrating our closest EU neighbours. The French are marking Bastille Day today.
Tara Walker joins us and there's Flamiche. You know what? It's leek and cheese tart with a fancy name. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you very much.
Give us the name. Do you know the name?
Yeah, OK. Flamiche au Poireaux.
Flamiche au Poireaux.
Yeah, but you should say it faster than that. But then if I say it faster, I'll, you know. So.
Right. What are we going for?
OK, so some lovely caramelised leeks, first of all. And I actually wanted to show everybody, some people will know this already, but in case you haven't, so the French love using leeks actually because they're lovely and sweet and savoury at the same time.
Yeah.
So when you're chopping your leek, take your outer layer off and then at the top just kind of fan it out like this because you'll often find there's bits of dirt in there because it's pushed through the ground. So you get little bits of grit there. So just wash that like that. And then we're going to caramelise them slowly. So I have some olive oil and some butter going into a pan. And then I'm going to pop my leeks in with a nice bit of salt, which helps slow down the caramelisation process, take the, the bit of water out of there and stop it from catching and burning. So a little bit of salt in with that.
I've never heard of caramelising a leek.
Yeah, oh yeah, like it's like a type of onion, you know, it's an allium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then look, I did this one last night, really, really slowly. So look at the difference. And we wouldn't have time today. Bless you. Bless you. We wouldn't have time today to do this the whole way through because it does take a good 15 to 20 minutes on a low temperature. So that's them now. And you can see all those lovely little sticky bits. That's where all that gorgeous flavour.
That's the sugar and the mix of everything together.
Exactly. So for this, I'm going to do a shop-bought puff pastry tart because we don't have time to make a pastry today. And it's such a quick, you know that puff pastry has 729 layers. So to make it really properly, it nearly takes 2 days. You have to leave it overnight. So we're doing a kind of simplified version here. So I'm going to pop my leeks in here and also they're cool now. So they're not like hot because you don't want to get a soggy bottom on your tart, of course.
You don't like that.
Nope.
So, so pop them all out and just pop them all onto the base of your tart. And I'm just using a square tart tin here. You can use a circular one if you want. I quite like the square because then you get nice kind of proper slices, but go with whatever you have at home.
How many leeks would you need now for this
portion? 2 good leeks, yeah. I have a little bit less there because I'm not going to chop it all, but two good size leeks, yeah. Or else really one large one if you have.
Yeah.
And then in here I have 4 eggs and I'm going to just give them a little whisk up and I'm going to add some salt and pepper. But actually before I put my cream in here as well, I'm going to use this as a little bit of egg wash. Okay. So it's always nice when you can, rather than you've used it all up and then go, oh, I need an egg.
Yeah.
You go looking for another egg, just use a teaspoon of it.
Yeah.
So we'll brush that onto the pastry.
And does that just help it seal later on?
Well, actually, it gives it a nice golden caramel kind of colour. You know, it colours it. Yeah, it kind of glazes it. So let's just pop that on. And I love this to look really rustic. And, you know, I was thinking, what'll I do for Bastille Day, you know? And I actually studied in the Cordon Bleu in Paris. And I was there for Bastille Day. And actually, I remember everybody was having kind of like light food, because it's so hot in Paris at this time of year, that this kind of thing with lovely salads was really, really popular. And kind of rustic rather than people cooking at home. Obviously, in restaurants, you've got these fancy patisserie type tarts and things. But at home, everybody's cooking like this. So in we go. And the whole thing about it is really lovely ingredients, lovely fresh ingredients, lovely fresh salads and things like that.
So you've just thrown into your eggs there.
So some cream there. And
a bit of salt
and the rest of our salt and pepper, Then we're going to just mix that around, pour it in. Very, very simple. So I've actually been making quite a lot of tarts like this summer because, you know, when the weather was really hot and you need something filling, but you don't want something that's going to be kind of like really, really heavy. Yeah. And there's great protein in this, obviously, as well. And look, now I have my Gruyère here, which I've just grated. So nice.
Oh, lovely.
And the Gruyère is lovely. It's got a lovely kind of slightly nutty flavour to it. But of course, you can use cheddar if you want. Last week, I actually did a similar tart, but I used a bit of camembert, which was delicious as well. Oh. If you're using camembert, go easy on it, though, because it's quite cheesy, heavy, you know. Yeah. So there we go.
And that's it?
That's it. Into the oven now. And you want a good hot oven, kind of 180, 200 degrees, because of all those layers of the pastry, the steam needs to get between them and puff them up, basically. And in they go.
And you can leave that sit for how long?
So pop it into the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. And usually when you take it out, it's risen up really nicely, but it does kind of flatten back down. So when you take it out, if you feel this lovely souffle coming out, and then later on you go back to it and it's flattened, don't be disappointed, because that is how it looks. So to go with that then, as I mentioned, a nice little French dressing. So I have some garlic, and I have lovely fresh garlic again. So this is quite wet garlic. And I'm going to just sit it into my dressing jar. So I'm not actually going to, you know, grate it down. I don't know if we can see on camera there, but this is a lovely wet garlic. Can you see that?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times in the winter or whatever, you have like, it's quite dry, the garlic. This is so nice. So it's a little bit more gentle, I suppose.
And also the way you chopped it. So because I feel like I've been chopping garlics wrong the whole time, just watching you crush it with a knife.
Well, I don't want to actually eat this garlic, if you see what I mean. I just wanted to kind of scent the dressing.
Yes, okay.
So a little bit of Dijon mustard has to be. And again, salt and pepper. So it's so important to season every step of the way. A little bit of cider vinegar I'm using here, but you can use white wine vinegar or whatever you fancy. And good quality olive oil now.
And is this for the bit of salad that you're going to
This
dish
is
out
just
as well?
for a bit of salad, yeah. And I think like this, the whole thing, these lovely fresh kind of salads with something like this tart is so nice, you know.
Yeah. We're just up to a minute. Can we show this?
Yes, of course.
This looks beautiful.
So I'm going to just pop this, and I have some nice leaves to go around it. These are lovely fresh leaves. There's my French dressing on them. And I have some lovely herbs here, which I got from the garden. I've got fennel.
Oh, you're going for it.
And look at these lovely edible flowers. I was going to scatter them around, but let's just get a move on. And some little calendulas and herbs, everything.
That's the cordon bleu that we're talking about.
Smell. This
That's a lovely
beautiful.
freshness now.
Tara, we're going to take a taste during the break, if that's all right. And for full recipe details, they are up on our website, or you can check out Tara's Instagram page. That's at Tara Walker Chef 2 for more.
Up next, we'll be remembering Kiera Dignam with his daughter Kiera. Stay tuned right after this break.
You're very welcome back. Now, our next guest stole the heart of the nation every time she performed with her father, and now she's living out his final wish by pursuing her own music career.
Kiera Dignam joins us now in her first TV interview since the death of her dad, the beloved Kiera Dignam. Kiera, we're so happy to have you on here. Even like hearing the snippets of rehearsal, like it's just special. How have you been doing the last few weeks?
I'm still in the kind of numb stage. I'm still very autopilot. Yeah. That's kind of how I'm getting through it, really.
Yeah.
You try not to feel things.
And staying occupied, I suppose.
That's it, yeah. And I think a lot of people probably think this is doing stuff like this and, you know, even getting back out gigging and stuff is early days, but this is my way of keeping focused and something positive, you know, like either that or just don't get out of bed. Yeah. You know?
The reaction, first of all, I'm so sorry about your dad. I've met him several times and he was such a legend. And I suppose no more than me meeting him and chatting to him. Everyone has a story about having met
everyone has a Kiera story.
Yeah, everyone did. And thousands of people lined the streets for his funeral. Did you get any comfort from that, or was it inspiring to see like how?
Yeah, I actually, in theory, when it was suggested that people might come out, I was like, absolutely not. I didn't want the circus. I didn't want all of that. But when it happened and thinking back on it, it actually was. I got a lot of comfort out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm very uncomfortable with like the thought of that in theory, as I said. Like, but yeah, it was nice to kind of. Everyone kind of felt the same and everyone was sharing our grief, you know?
Yeah. He had been sick for a very long time as well, and I suppose a lot of us, he'd let everyone into that. A lot of people don't do that, and he'd let us all see what life was like living with it, and we were all following along. We were all praying from crossing our fingers.
Yeah.
And he let us in and saw that. I suppose, did you feel that we were, you know, that everyone else was rooting for him, or that everyone was?
Yeah, absolutely. Like whether you're religious or spiritual or anything, I think there was a lot of people praying and lighting candles, and whether, like, as I said, whether you think God is helping you or keeping you strong or whatever, I think definitely people helped.
Yeah.
You know.
How was it growing up, I suppose, sharing him? Because you even used to perform with him from the ages of 12.
Yeah.
But now you mentioned everyone has a Kiera story. What was that like having to share your dad with everyone? Like, did it annoy you ever?
Yeah, it kind of did sometimes. Like, I never knew any different. Yeah. You know, I've said it before. People say, what's it like your dad being a plumber or an electrician? I never knew what that was. You know, if people would say, what's it like for Kiera to be your dad? I didn't know. He was just my dad. You know, I didn't know any different. But yeah, sometimes I think more when I was a teenager. It was kind of, you know, if you're trying to go anywhere, you go for a meal or anything like that, you're left sitting there kind of twiddling your thumbs waiting because people want photographs and stuff. But when you think back on it now, it's nice that he appealed to so many people, you know.
But now, speaking of the music, we mentioned earlier that you performed with your dad many times. Do you find comfort in that now that you're in your own journey of your music career?
Yeah, like as you said, I've been gigging since I was 12. Yeah. So it is definitely, I think, a therapy for me, you know, and I think that's probably now why I'm so comfortable getting back out there so kind of soon. And, you know, that's my way of expressing myself. It's my comfort. It's where people might go to a therapist or might go on a walk or whatever, have a drink or whatever they do to kind of wind down. This is my this is my way of coping.
He had said in his final interview that that was his legacy, that he wanted you to continue, he wanted you to perform. So what are you doing?
So I have my album ready to go.
Great.
Which was a big thing for me. I wanted it ready. I wanted him to be able to listen to it before he'd passed, and he did. So I kind of know the tracks that he likes and things like that. So, and we never agreed on anything. Like I liked one thing, he liked another thing. Right. So I was like, well, I'm going to win, obviously, because I mean.
You're the boss.
Yeah. Well, I have to say now, so you can't really do much about it now, even if it's a song. He doesn't.
Okay, fair enough. He doesn't get a vote now.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it's kind of. It's nice to just have my own thing, and I'm not just Kiera Dignam's daughter and Kiera, and that was something that was always very important to me. Although I sang with him a lot of times, I was always I never wanted to tug off anyone's coat strings. I never allowed him. He probably has been, I've maybe 500 gigs I've done, he's been to maybe 2. I never let him come to gigs. I didn't want it to be about that. I wanted people to like Kiera or not like Kiera. I didn't want it to be giving me a chance because I'm Kiera Dignam's daughter. Yeah. It was
because you're stepping into your own identity, and you really do have your own sound. Like, because we'll be hearing in a few moments your new song, "Made Just for Me." Yeah. But can you tell us a little bit behind about the inspiration behind the song and the process as well?
Yeah. So I think this song in particular, it's like a song that, when you're kind of 14, 15, listening to a song, you're like, that song was written for me. Yeah. That's what this song is for me. And I think a lot of people who have heard it have said the same thing, like, that's my song. You wrote that song about me, And it's about a girl who's like a love that's made just for me. So whether your perceptions can be different, it could be a case of a love like you want your one true love or whatever, or it could be loving yourself. It can be the kind of growing up and not having confidence and having low self-esteem and growing to love yourself. Because, that's so important.
Yeah, everyone perceives the song in a different way.
And I think every song, like I've had, like even talking to my dad or talking to other songwriters, they'll say, I wrote a song about one particular thing and someone will come to me and have a totally different message. But it doesn't matter. That's what music does. It's how it speaks to you and what it does for you. And like that, it's people's therapy and it's...
Haven't been performing since you were knee-high to a grasshopper on...
Still am knee-high to a grasshopper.
Well, I'm set up for us all, yes.
This is not a competition.
Sorry.
But since you were a little girl then.
Yeah.
And to Aslan fans and to huge crowds and people there to have a good time and getting that energy off a crowd. What do you prefer, songwriting? By yourself or working on your own in the studio or
performing
really performing would be your
I hate studio because I just listen back to myself and I'm like, oh, I'm so self-critical, but live you literally can't beat it, like you just can't.
Well, you will be live. We've got Forest Fest coming up at the end of this month, and then you've got your show at Opium this December as well,
27th,
and then of course the album release as well. So busy.
You're a busy woman. Yeah. Well, it's really exciting, and even just to shout out your performance at Dallymain Park, you sang Crazy World. Was that cathartic moment for you?
It was, yeah, and it was only a week after the funeral, so it was just one of the representatives from Bowes came to us and asked if they could do a limited edition just for that night, just to do a jersey with the Aslan logo, and my dad, they had a memorial thing for my dad on the back. So I was kind of, oh no, it's too soon. I didn't want to see people, I didn't want to speak to people, let alone sing. But it was for St. Francis Hospice and the work they do and the work they done for us. I couldn't say no, That's
I
more
want to hear the song. Can we hear the song?
Yeah. No.
Made just for me. Well, made just for you.
Yeah. Just for you.
You hop up and you get yourself sorted.
So looking forward to this.
If you'd like to see Kiera live, you can catch her at Forest Fest on the 23rd of this month, or you can check her out headlining at Opium in Dublin on the 27th of December.
Coming up tomorrow, is she still in the mood for dancing? Anne Nolan of the Nolans will be stopping by.
And how's the world of AI affecting your dating life? We'll be finding that out tomorrow.
And are your gel nails increasing the risk of cancer? We investigate that.
All that, plus Ireland's top dog-friendly holiday destinations. It's all on Ireland AM tomorrow morning from 9.
That's it from us, so we'll leave you with Kiera Dignam. Take it away.
Used to watch the girls in high-end shoes. The boys would always ask to dance, while I was plain and dressed in hand-me-downs and never got a second glance. The music, the laughter, the tender good nights I had memorized, they all passed me by. I used to pray to God for laugh lines to draw away these lonely tears. If only I had back the time I'd hidden myself away for all those years. But every love story or movie I've seen some shallow swells as the girl finds herself. Love don't mean anything unless it comes for free. Love has no sense of wrong or trace of sanity. If I had everything, I would give anything for a love that was made just for me. I learned to pray and keep my mouth shut and my hands folded on my knees. I learned to live with what I lived without and be thankful for it, please. But what if the circus didn't have a sideshow and all the loveless souls found someone to hold? Love don't mean anything unless it comes for free. Love has no sense of wrong or trace of sanity. If I had everything, I would give anything for a love that was made. When I dream, the world seems so simple, like reaching a hand in a snow-filled sky. And I know love don't mean anything unless it comes for free. Love has no sense of wrong or trace of sanity. If I had everything, I would give anything for a love that was made just for me. I used to watch the girls in high shoes, the boys would always ask to dance. While I was plain and dressed in hand-me-downs and never got a second glance.